Hi and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits, and today is Monday, January 20th, 2020. This is episode 347. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more episode. If you're new, I hope you enjoy what you see today and you come back in the future. So, we're jumping right in. It is close to 6 o'clock at night on a Monday. We have been traveling today, we've been working, and I've been doing some pattern searching as of the last half hour, so let's get right to it. I have things to show, stuff to talk about, finished objects to share, and stories to tell. So grab something, a beverage of your choice, either something warm if you're in cold weather, or, well, something adult if you so want to imbibe. Not with me today, I don't have my pink drink. I'm drinking my Diet Mountain Dew, but pink drink when this is over. Yeah. Not pink drink. Pank drink. Sorry. If you're a new viewer, I have a recipe of choice for a vodka lemonade that I concoct and sometimes imbibe on the show with you all. So, anyway, so let's jump right in. What's been going on over the past 2 weeks since we've seen each other last? It has gotten rather cold here. Winter has really hit, but it doesn't really know if it wants to stay around here in central Illinois where I live. And so we, last weekend, we got some snowish weather, cold temperatures, and it was our last weekend home. And for those of you who are new, my sister Amanda used to join me on the podcast. Hasn't for the last couple of months because life has just taken her in other directions and she hasn't really been crafting. And she got her own apartment, so she's been needing some storage furniture. And I've been always needing more storage furniture. So if you see any boxes over here, that's the last remaining piece of furniture that needs to be put together, which is rather large. But we drove up about 2.5 hours to IKEA, which is the closest one. We could either go down by St. Louis or the Chicago suburbs where we grew up. So I figured I know where to go up in the Chicago suburbs. So we drove up there and we spent the day shopping. We had lunch and then shopped, and I spent way too much money, some for the business, some for home. But I got a new adjustable desk for the work so we can stand and sit, and we got a new, like a dining room studio table that can extend out to seat more. So when we have open studio times in the distant future, once we remodel, we have a studio table to sit around and do open knit nights. So, and also Andy really wanted a table to have lunch at rather than a little plastic crafting table that we've had that, well, yeah. So, so that was exciting, but then it was rather snowy on the way home and dark and wasn't great driving weather, but it was what it was. So we got home, finished out the weekend working, worked this week, and this weekend was our first time on the road. I'm sorry. Andy said he was going upstairs, and then he came downstairs, and now he's distracting me as he's feeding the dogs, which need to be fed because it's 6 o'clock at night. But anyway, so this was our first event of 2020. We went to Joplin, Missouri. We were invited by the guild there, Fiber Folks of Southwestern Missouri, to come down and do a Q&A about our business presentation, which I've done before, as well as bring some of our yarns for their guild members to partake in if they so choose. Chose. Words. Former English teacher right here. Anyway, so we left bright and early, about 6 o'clock in the morning yesterday, drove the 6+ hours down there, had lunch, and got set up, and we had the meeting at 2, which went really well. People seemed to enjoy our story, and they enjoyed taking part in some of our yarns, so thank you to those of you who came out to support us there. I know there was a lot of new faces, the guild board said, so hopefully I brought in some new faces in for their meeting, and we drove maybe about 2 hours last night, and then we got a hotel room and stayed in Missouri, and then we got up this morning and had breakfast and drove home. Got home around lunchtime, drove right to the studio, unloaded, and started working because, that's who we are. And so, yeah, I've been working most of the day. We just got home, and I started some hand knit socks in the laundry and sitting down with you all to show you what I've been up to the past 2 weeks. So, all right, let's jump right into the knitting, shall we? So, first up for me, I have 2 finished objects. One I've been working on for a while, one you've never even seen. So the first up is Riverine. This is by Teresa Gaffey. I used Shibui Pebble, Silk Cloud, and Sema, all in color number 2002, which is their graphite color. And it's a simple scarf knit on the bias using garter and stockinette stitch. That's it. But it uses 3 of their bases, and so that really highlights the scarf here. So you can see it starts here with the Sema is the garter throughout, and then this stockinette section at this end is the pebble. And then you can see we introduced their cloud, which is their silk mohair, and it is much more open down here. So it is just a scarf, and it is super light. It is not even, I think, 100 grams of yarn. I think it's about 70 plus grams of yarn. So, I mean, I could definitely keep this for myself. It is very gender neutral. However, I have so many scarves that I don't know what to do with. And I only really keep 3 on hand, but I tend to wear the same one. So this will probably be a charity knit, and will go up for either auction at my retreat or another retreat or what have you. So there is that. And this was knit on a size 5 US, which is 3.75 millimeter needles. So it's a good mindless travel knitting project, and it is written that you can use every last bit of this yarn because it is not an inexpensive yarn. So there's that. It's blocked. The ends have been woven in. I wove them in as I knit, but I blocked it and then clipped the ends. I took pictures of that already, so that gets to go live in a bag in the closet till it has its heyday. The next thing that I finished was a very quick knit. So Andy has been my random number generator on my yarn stash as of late, to kind of get him a little bit more involved with selecting what I knit. So I told him to pick something out of the yarn stash, and he saw this yarn, which he selected at Stitches Salt Lake this year, and he said, nope, I want this first. So he had picked out the pattern and the yarn at Stitches Salt Lake at our neighboring vendor, which is Hole in the Wool. And this is their Grand Bulky Base in the Regency colorway. And this is the Lake Ridge hat, which is by Alicia Goebel, who is the dyer behind Hole in the Wool. And they are local to Salt Lake. It is a simple cabled hat with a twisted stitch ridge. But no, it looked really good on Andy. It's not too big. I thought it would be too long as I was doing the cable repeats, but it actually fits really nicely. He's super happy about it. This was knit using size 10 and 11, so 10s for the ribbing, 11s for the body, and I actually didn't have 11 double points, so I actually used 10 and a halves for the double points, but it's all the same, which is a 6 and 8 millimeter. So it's coming out quite more. That's a little truer. It's looking quite green on the screen. I was a poet and I didn't even know it. That's kind of true. It's like a overwashed aqua gray. So that was super quick. A nice bulky knit, which I don't get to do a lot, but again, I had to do it in about 3 different sittings because, sorry, I'm noticing I dropped a ply of one of the stitches, but it's all right. It's not going anywhere. My hands aren't used to, using bulky yarn, so I had to do them at 2 to 3 sittings. But yeah, so 2 finished objects, a hat and a scarf. Look at that. Alrighty, so that's what I finished. So what have I been working on? Well, as of today, because I worked on this, Andy drove the entire way to and from Missouri, and I worked on this the entire ride when I was not sleeping, because he's probably over there like, yeah, you slept twice on the way there yesterday, and I fell asleep for like 30 minutes today. This is the Adventuring Wrap by Amba O'Brien. This was her 2019 Advent knit-along. And I am currently on color number 21, almost done with 21 of 25. And so I've been moving a progress keeper up so you can see where I have been. It is knit lengthwise, so there's a lot of stitches on this needle. Here it is. So this is using the Leading Men Fiber Arts 2019. It's not an Advent set. And I've done quite a bit since last time we spoke. So where the Taco Progress Keeper is, that colorway is Nevermore. Then above that is Tainted Love. Then the Haunted Wood, Fortune Teller, Heliotrope, Industrial, Mary's Jam, and this last one I'm working on is Moonstone. So, almost done. And then we will put some fringe. It is knit on a very slow bias for the entire wrap. And yeah, this is using all of our mini skeins, and whatever's left over will be knit into the Adventuring Cowl, which was a free pattern that came with the purchase of the wrap to use up your leftovers. So I will be knitting that after this to, showcase this is going to be a booth sample to showcase, hey, you can use all the yarn that comes in the kit for 2 different projects. And this is knit on a size 5 US 3.75 millimeter needle. And after that, I have been working on my army socks using some Knitter's Nightmare Batty sock in the Mules colorway, which is a nod to the army. And I haven't gotten as much work on it, but I did finish the first sock. And I put in a progress keeper so that you could see. Sometimes I get on a kick of that, and sometimes then I lose steam on it. But where you can see here, I knit top down. So you can see I knit all the way down here. I finished the toe, and then I added an afterthought heel in here. And this is using Leading Men Fiber Arts Sandcastle Showstopper. So I did all that. I did add some extra rounds, so I knit 100 rounds down the foot before I started the rounded toe, and it is too big. So these might be gifted to his brother, but I don't know if he even has bigger feet than us. I may try to wear them with the heel up for a while and wash them and see if they shrink a little bit, which is what I was going for. But yeah. So that's that. And then I did start the second sock, and I got through the ribbing, and I am working my way down the leg. I did not intentionally try to get these to match, so I'd be interested to see. They're going to be pretty close, off by a round or two. So that's kind of amazing, because I just I cut the yarn when I finished here, and I picked up and started knitting. I was like, honestly, I don't look at my socks when I'm wearing them to see if the stripes match or go in opposite directions. So I'd rather not waste the yarn and have the extra yarn in one leftover cake. So they're off maybe by a round or two at most. That's pretty neat. I like when that works out. Excuse me. Ugh. And that's knit using a size 1 2.25 millimeter needle, 2 circs per sock. Alright, that's it for me. Since I finished the hat, I haven't cast anything else on. I haven't finished a row on my granny square blanket, so I have maybe 4 or 5 more to do before I finish this row, so I'm not going to show it to you this episode. Moving into in rehearsal. So, as I said, I'm using Andy to select my next yarn, and he selected this as my next project, which is a skein of Twisted Owl Fiber Studio. They were doing a lot of the Stitches events, and then I saw them not doing any more like in-person events, and they were focusing on wholesale. And then I tried to go to their website, and it was down. So I'm not sure if they're dying anymore. It was a husband and wife team out of Longview, Texas. I picked this up at one of the stitches. Maybe it was Midwest. Several years ago. Anyway, this is their Luxe sock, which is 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon. It's 150 grams or 600 yards. And this is the colorway Mirage in the speckled variation. And so Andy picked this up, and I went and looked because I have projects attached to every skein of yarn in my stash, and all my stash is up on Ravelry because I'm a type A personality. However, the pattern attached to this particular yarn is discontinued. Particular designer we actually had worked with in the past, I won't name who, just took all their patterns off of Ravelry, so which is a little disheartening. So I was like, well, I can't knit that. It was an asymmetrical shawl, and then so I just started searching for a project, and I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling the shawl. I need to do something different. So a lot of cropped tees were coming up, and I can knit one of the smaller sizes out of one skein of fingering with like a cropped, tee, no sleeves. So there's one that I had seen. I know the Fat Squirrel put it, I think, as a goal for her to knit. And I think Laura of the Knit Girls. But I decided not to go with that one. And I found a different one. And I'm going to knit the Yama tee by This Bird Knits. In fact, I purchased the pattern right before I hit the record button. And here's what it looks like. Let me take the brightness down. Maybe. There you go. So I'm going to be able to get the small size with 600 yards. It says 590, and a lot of people I saw knit the medium and just went over 600. So to be safe, it looks like it is done in a raglan style yoke or yoke construction, and then it has lace detail on the bottom half of the sleeve. So yeah. So that's what I'm going to knit. I don't know for who. It'll be donated. Maybe I'll do a fundraiser with it. I don't know. But you know what? I kind of want to do some garment knitting and some other avenues other than shawls all the time. So, and because it has the cashmere in it, I didn't really want to do socks, and there's so much yarn in it that, I don't know. I didn't want to have leftovers, so. So that's what's coming up. That'll be cast on here in the next few days. Let's move into behind the scenes. What's going on in the world of my spinning. I'm still spinning some Yarn Geek Fibers Corriedale in the Winter Pinoque colorway, which looks like this. This is the second third of 2 ounces, of the second 2 ounces, if that makes sense. I'm fractally spinning it, so I just split the braid right in the middle, not down the middle, but right in the middle. I spun the first 2 ounces straight off the braid, which is right here. It's on my Acreworks bobbin. And then I split the second third into threes down that second half. The second half, split down 3 times. And then I'll spin those, and then ply these two together into a 2-ply fractal spin. I did take my cross stitch off of my stand to show you. I am working on a Heaven and Earth Designs called One for Sorrow, artwork by Stephanie Pugh Moon Law, which looks like this. I actually took it out of the plastic to show you. And I started up in the upper left-hand corner. And I am using some Easy Grid Fabric 25 count, and I'm doing 2/1 tent stitch or half stitch rather than full on cross stitching. And so I finished the first page. This is the first page right here. And then this is across, I finished the first row across the second page. And of course I've got a smattering of other stitches in there going on. So I know my stitching is not the prettiest. I am still a new stitcher. I don't really care. I just enjoy the process of it. So there's that. My weaving, I'll show you over here. I am currently weaving a fingering weight scarf using 2 skeins of Leading Men Fiber Arts in one-of-a-kind colorways. And here's where we're at. I'm calling this the Lost in the Wood scarf. And I'm using a 10-dent reed on my Ashford Rigid Huddle loom. If the reed does not try to attack me. So that's going. I'm probably halfway done with that, if not more. So there's that. All right, in the spotlight, what am I watching and reading? Well, I haven't finished reading anything. I am reading The Outsider by Stephen King. I know I'm talked Andy into watching. There's an HBO series that has come out after the book. I just have to make sure that I keep my reading before what we watch. We haven't started it yet, but it's an 18-hour book, and I don't know where I'm at in it, but I've been listening to it for a few days. Shows we've been watching, I'm just going to give you thumbs up. If there's something I don't like, I'll let you know. Schitt's Creek, we're in season 2. Into the Dark, which is like I was telling you, it's by Hulu, and they're like standalone movies, but it's a series, so they call it Into the Dark. I've been catching some of those. We did finish season 1 of Watchmen, which is HBO. Unfortunately, I did see that the HBO is not looking to do season 2 because the creator dropped out. So that stinks. They left you on a kind of a cliffhanger, but things did wrap up, because it was a very weird show, but things did eventually come together in the last 2 episodes. We're also watching True Detective Season 3. We just decided to start with Season 3 since they're standalone stories each season, and we're enjoying that. I watched on my day off this week Freakish, which is on Hulu. It is a total teen zombie drama. They're like 23-minute episodes, 10 episodes in a season. There was only 2 seasons. I am halfway into the second season. I watched more than the whole first season in one day. I watched A Simple Favor, which stars Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. I thought it was interesting. To be a comedy suspense was interesting. But yeah, so it's based off of a book. I did watch a movie which I never saw in theaters because it wasn't, with one of the actors that I know, Earmuffs. I cannot stand watching Nicolas Cage. My sister loves him, and I can't stand seeing his face on the screen. I have a visceral reaction to it. However, I did watch a movie with him. He was not in it a whole lot. It's called Mom and Dad, and it stars Selma Blair and Nick Cage. And basically the premise of it is parents... there's a mass hysteria that breaks out and parents start murdering their children. And it's kind of believed to be like a survival type instinct nature kind of thing, that eventually your children grow up and are better than you. So it was not that great. But it was good to knit to. So there's that. And then I also watched, not this week, but the week before on my day off, I did some binge watching of The Golden Girls from season 1, episode 1. I watched it here and there as a kid, and I just was like, you know what, I'm going to sit down and watch it. So I haven't made my way back to it, but... Okay, you want to see some more yarn? I've been talking enough. Let's look at more yarn. All right, so I have 3 more purchases from 3 different vendors. All of these vendors were at Stitches Salt Lake, which is unfortunately not going to be happening again this year. They could not get the venue. But I made all these purchases at Stitches, and I wasn't supposed to get anything. And you saw all the hole in the wool that I got last week, or last episode. That was also at the same Stitches. First up, we have Western Sky Knits, and oh my god, I'm totally blanking on her name. I want to say Amy, but that doesn't seem right. Anyway, we had dinner with her at Salt Lake, but Western Sky Knits, I always love chatting with her, and I love her stuff. Anyway, I picked up some of her Tweed DK, which is 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal Nep, 230 yards per 100 grams. And I picked out an Amber O'Brien cowl pattern to use this. And this does not have a colorway name on it. So I named it something in my stash page. But it's like a dark charcoal, but there's almost these bronze undertones. So you see those like golden undertones to it, which I really think balances out the brown gold neps. So I thought that was really pretty, so I picked up 2 skeins of that. I then got to vend alongside Yarn Cafe Creations and Dragon Horde Yarn, who is Chrissy and Tristan. Chrissy is Yarn Cafe Creations, and she's the mom of Tristan, who's Dragon Horde Yarn. So I picked up, I like to pick up yarns that, if I can, that we don't carry, right? So I found this really cool wrap that was like garter and stockinette probably, but it mixed mohair with fingering weight. So I picked up a skein of fingering weight from Yarn Cafe Creations. This is her Orchard colorway in the raw sugar fingering weight. This is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% gold stellina, 437 yards. And I know this is not me, but it's something about it drew me in. And then I went over to Tristan's booth, Dragon Horde Yarns, and I picked up a skein of her Pegasus lace weight mohair. It is a 72% kid mohair, 28% silk, in the Autumn Rose colorway. And I thought these would pair very nicely together. And I figured mother-daughter needed to go together in the same project. So check out Western Sky Knits, Yarn Cafe Creations, and Dragon Horde Yarn. Those are my featured vendors for this episode. All right, let's do our giveaway for this episode. I picked randomly from our prize bin in my prize cabinet over here, and I picked out a skein of Plymouth Yarn Diversity. It is a memory yarn of 93% acrylic, 7% polyester, so no wool, and really good for probably the warmer climates. And it has some stretch to it, so that's like the memory to it. It's got more of a stretch and a bounce to it. This is in color 11. And it's got, I would think it would probably do some kind of striping effect. It's got like a dark charcoal brown, chocolate brown, not charcoal, a magenta, white, aqua, and then like a sour apple green. So to enter to win this skein, which has 420 yards, so enough to do a pair of socks, you need to go to our Ravelry group, Dramatic Knits Video Podcast group. 1, you should be a member. If you're not, click join. It's super easy. And then you need to go to the appropriate thread. It'll say Plymouth Yarn Diversity Giveaway. And there will be a prompt up there. And you just need to answer 1 post per person, please. And that'll get you an entry into the drawing. And you need to post before I record in 2 weeks. And I'll use a random number generator to pick for a winner. So the prompt for this particular giveaway is, what's something that you're surprised no one has figured out how to do yet? So what's something that we as a human race have not figured out how to do that you think, well, that should have been done by now? So interested to see what you have to say. Moving right along, inside the Knitter Studio, that's where you all get to ask questions and I answer them on the podcast. We do have a Q&A thread stickied at the top of the group on Ravelry, and I will answer them in the order that they appear. We had 1 or 2 more questions pop up since I recorded last. And this question comes from Lore Pud, and she says, do you think you'll ever make it to the New England Fiber Fest at the Big E? I'm a cash girl. Meaning she doesn't like to buy online. And there's a lot of people like that. And there's a lot of people who want to see the product before they buy online. I have heard of the New England Fiber Fest several times, and I did go look at it, and unfortunately I believe it's the first weekend in November, and we already have an event booked this year. And it may always be the first weekend in November, so then it might be a conflict. of interest. But we are currently going to be at Fiber in the Borough, which is in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, this November during the first full weekend in November. So unfortunately, not this year. But thank you for your question. And if you have a question, even if it's not related to knitting or fiber, and you have a question for me and want to have it answered on the podcast, just shoot on over there and ask me your question. All right, let's move into a round of applause. So these people deserve a round of applause. First up, we have our giveaway from last episode, which is a copy of the book Socks, Socks, Socks. And this is edited by Elaine Rowley. 70 winning patterns from Knitters Magazine. And the prompt for this last episode was, what's the most amazing place in nature you've ever been? And boy, there were some really cool places people put. And some people put pictures, which was great. This winner was number 13, who was Lore Pudd, the one who asked the question. See, she started the thread going again, and then that world worked, kismet happened, and she won the giveaway. So Laura Pudd, who is Lori from Western Massachusetts, I can talk today. Congratulations. She said, I used to answer Niagara Falls, the park on the U.S. side and everything else on the Canadian side. But last February, my husband and I bought 10 acres in a little hill town of Massachusetts, where we'll be hopefully putting our retirement home. So that's her new answer. That is a wonderful answer. And she posted a photo of her and her husband on the land. And I wish you the best of luck of getting your forever home built there. And I hope that you, I know that you will build wonderful memories there. And I hope that you do so very quickly, so you can start building even more and more memories there. So, Lori, congratulations. If you would, please private message me on Ravelry, Dramatic Knits, with your first and last name, mailing address, and an email address so I can send you tracking. I'll get that out to you as soon as I can. Want to remind you to post an entry into our January 2020 Race to the Finished Object contest that is currently open for the next week or so until January ends. Anything you finish this month, you can post as a separate post, and that'll get you an entry in the drawing. So if you finish 10 things, you have 10 entries in the drawing. If you finish one, awesome, you have an entry for this month. If you don't finish anything, don't worry about it. Don't put any stress on yourself, because I do it every month. So if you don't finish it this month, put it in for next month. But the whole idea of it is to try to race to the finished object to get it done by the end of the month, so you can enter for some prizes. So we'll have a physical prize, we always do every month, and then we have a pattern prize from our featured designers. So this month's featured designer is Jessica Brist of Snickerdoodle Knits, and she's been with us for the last 3 months. This is her final month, so you will be able to win any pattern of hers. And we also will have a new featured designer starting in February, and that is going to be Shayna Cohn of Shayna Lines Designs. And in fact, she's opened a thread on our Ravelry group with a coupon code that you could take advantage of to pre-purchase some of her patterns if you want to get ready for our featured designer knit along when she takes over. Speaking of the featured designer knit along, we do have a knit along going on in the Dramatic Knits group for Snickerdoodle Knits. It has been running since November 1st, and it will close on January 31st. You can knit any of Jessica's patterns, and you can knit as many of her patterns and make as many finished objects as you want of any patterns. Each finished object gets you an entry in the drawing. We do a drawing every month, and in January, once January comes to a close, we'll do more of a bigger drawing for out of anybody who has finished their project. All right, we had to do a redraw for the Stitch Naughty Elf Sock Set giveaway. We gave this away 2 episodes ago and did not hear back from the winner. So I am redrawing. And so we redrew from the thread for this, and the winner of this was number 22, Mary KS. That's Mary from California. Congratulations. The prompt was, what's another Christmas movie that you think would make a great Christmas sock set? And she said Christmas Story. Can't go wrong there. So congratulations, Mary. If you would please send me Dramatic Knits on Ravelry, first and last name, mailing address, and an email address. I'll get that out to you as soon as I can. All right, let's move into center stage. All things Leading Men Fiber Arts. I have some things to show. I'm working on bringing some stuff from the studio to show you. So these I've had since India Entangled they premiered, but then we sold out of almost all of them in the first 2 shows we had them. So then we had to do a reorder, and we had to wait for those to come before we could update them, and then we had to get professional photography done with them because I wanted them to look nice. But those are our rehearsal bags. So I'm super excited to finally share on the podcast with you. I worked with our seamstress, who is Anne of the Silver Shed USA on Etsy. She does all of our project bags, which usually are of our yarns, either knitted or beauty shots. And she owns her own fabric printers, so she prints out those fabrics and she makes project bags for us out of our yarns. But I said, hey, Anne, I kind of want to do my own line of bags designed by me with a bag that I would like, that I would use, and I want to work with some wax canvas. And she said, sure, let's work together. So I gave her some ideas. We talked in person when we saw each other. I told her what I needed to have on the outside, on the inside. I then found that cork is a fabric, so I wanted to incorporate some of that. And so we came up with the perfect bag as of right now that I've designed and is exclusively only sold through us. So Anne makes them for us, only for us. You will only find them through us. Now, she is coming up with new designs using wax canvas, but they are not the same bag as what we have. So we currently carry 7 colors. However, once we start traveling, we will have a ring of wax canvas samples. There's 2 colors we can get that we don't carry. There's a teal and a fuchsia, and we're not carrying those. But we have a black, a gray, a forest green, harvest gold, cranberry, indigo, brown. Is that everything? Yeah, that's 7. I think that's all. Anyway, I brought the indigo because this, we just got restocked on indigo. This sold out really quickly. But this is the bag. This is our rehearsal bag. It is made out of wax canvas. So it is completely waterproof. And it is big enough that you could take this to the beach. You can put it down anywhere. You can put it down at, on the public transit, whatever. And all you have to do is wipe off the bottom. Or wipe off the sand. You could, write things in the wax canvas, or as you use it more, it'll get those kind of wax canvas creases. However, if you want to get rid of those creases, Anne has discovered if you just hold an iron in front of it, not on it, but in front of it, and give it a little bit of heat, it should smooth out some of those markings. And then we added, after the initial prototype, we added this cork fabric in, which the newer bags have like this gold flecking in the cork, which is really cool. So there is a front big pocket on this side, which is big enough to hold a pattern lengthwise, so it doesn't pop out. And it is a huge, big pocket. I mean, you can see how big my hand is. On the side, there are 2 side pockets big enough to hold a water bottle or another drink carrier, or you can put anything else in there. And then on the back side, there's 2 half-size pockets, and these are big enough. I'd fit my iPad mini in there. You can put electronics, anything you want, a book, and so that's just on the outside. It does have only one closure, but if you want to close it, it has a snap. I did not want to introduce a zipper with yarn. And then it comes with 2 handles that are removable. So like for mine, I'm not going around carrying it as a purse as much. So I removed the handles, but you can keep them on, as well as a crossbody strap, which is what I wanted. And so, and it is adjustable, so you can wear it to where you want. And what I really worked with on the second run of bags is we extended this strap to make it wider, so it wasn't such a thin, it didn't put as much pressure on your shoulder strap. as a thin one. My initial prototype that I have is a thinner one, and I live out of this bag. I've used this bag every day since June, and it still looks pristine. It holds everything. So the strap and the handles are all removable. There is a D-ring on the inside, so you can attach your keys or a set of stitch markers. There are then 6 pockets on the inside, so there's a big pocket as well as 2 corner pockets. Then there's the main compartment. Oh, but wait, it's doubled. So there's 2 main compartments, and then what's dividing it is also another zippered pouch. You can seriously live out of this bag, and I attest to it. So this is our rehearsal bag. You can see how big the bottom flattens out to be. I wanted something that was easy to use, but was high-end, was handmade, that can be versatile to be used in a variety of ways, and was not an arm and a leg. There are companies out there that have a very lifestyle aesthetic, and they do something very, very well, but they are very, very expensive. And so while these are not the cheapest, this is an investment. It is still, I think, in my mind, a very good deal for a much bigger bag that houses a lot more and is going to last. So these retail for $109. They are all handmade by Anne. And again, there are exclusive design only purchased through us, and they come in 7 colors. So, yeah, check them out. We're currently, I know we've sold out of the green. I will put in an order for that next month. I will only get replenishments of the bags each month when I get my monthly order from her. So just know that if a color is out of stock, we will probably be getting it in the next month. So we got this in, and we got cranberry back in for January. And then when I put in my February order, we will get some more forest green. So those are our rehearsal bags. Super excited to share that with you. There are so much more on the website right now, guys, that I am so excited to share with you. I've shared with you the pom-poms. We have more things coming in with other makers that we're working with to support small businesses. So can't wait to show you some more next episode. So definitely check out the website, peruse. There's so much on there. So that's the rehearsal bags. I do want to tell you that we collaborated. We are one of the featured designers, featured dyers for Sara Shira's Mystery Gnome Along #3. And there were 6 or 7 dyers, and it uses 3 mini skeins and then a little bit of a natural color that you want to use for the beard. So the dyers have put together 3 mini skeins into a set. I went looking around, and I think we have the most opportunity of different colorways. So we have 6 different sets to choose from, and they sell for $18 plus shipping. No upcharge. They're $6 a piece, just like they are normally. However, if you are interested, you could look through our mini skein page and pick 3 mini skeins and put those together if you wanted to put your own together. However, we got to see the prototype of the gnome, and we got the guidelines of what the yarn should be. And so we tried to curate the yarns in a way that would work best for the mystery knit along. And there's wonderful prizes at the end of this. If you have not heard of Sara Shira and her gnomes, we've worked with her previously for the Go Big or Go Gnome collection, which was hats, a hat, mittens, and a sweater using our yarn. And so, but she's known for the little gnomes, the little knit gnomes. And so this is her newest installment, and the sets have been selling like hotcakes. We've been replenishing them. We worked today to get all the sets dyed. The first run of them dyed today when we got home. So check that out. If you go to our main page, leadingmenfiberarts.com, and scroll down, there's a featured items menu with about 6 different items that we feature. I'm hoping to change that out every week, so to showcase a new kit or a new item or a new collaboration. And so that's right on the main page if you want to click through to there. All right, let's talk about the 2 knit-alongs that are currently going on. Don't worry, there'll be more coming in February in the Leading Men Fiber Arts group on Ravelry. The first one is the Endurance Shawl Knit-Along. That's a 3-skein DK weight shawl. There is a coupon code in there to purchase DK weight through our shop at a discount. And we do ask, and the knit-along goes through February 29th. And there will be a $50 grand prize selected from whoever finishes by the 28th. We also have the That's My Jam knit-along, which is a pattern by me that was released last month. And there's a coupon code in there as well to purchase gradients and showstopper for the knit-along. And that goes until February 28th as well, again with a $50 grand prize to anyone who finishes and is selected as the winner. Hasn't been a whole lot of chatter in there, so right now you have good odds, but I'm wanting to kind of get the motivation and word going that we're going to be adding new knit-alongs every month and finishing ones, so that, you know, if I add, like, these 2 shawls are not your cup of tea, well, next month I'm having 2 accessories that we're going to do in a month. So if you want to do those, a cowl or a hat, I think it's a hat. Did I say it was a hat? Yeah. You can do that. So I'm wanting to get more interaction in the Leading Men Fiber Arts group. So if you haven't joined us over there on Ravelry, check that out. Okay, so I realized that this recording is the last recording for January. So I wanted to show you our new color for February. Initially, this was created and then put to the side because we thought it was too fall. However, I came up with the most puntastic name that it works for February. And then I had created a couple variations, one being a semi-solid using the colors. And then I realized that I wanted that to be the coordinating color to go with this month. So there's 2 new colors this month. The first one is one of our massage speckles, and I brought this home to knit up the swatch here tonight. And this is going to be called I'll Always Love You. And so it's a speckled brown with orange hints and a little bit of silver gray, and it takes on like an orangey gray overwash to it. So it just reminds me of an owl. My color is changing. It's that hot light. And no natural light in here. And then with all these colors that I had in here, I made a semi-solid, and I decided I had the perfect name come to mind to work with this colorway, which is I Will Always Love You. And so I created a semi-solid brown to match it, and it's called Give a Hoot. So for our sock set, it will be this coordinating as the mini, and this will be the main color. And then this will be, I won't have pre-orders up for this colorway, but it will become a regular colorway in the shop as we dye up things. And of course, you can always put in a custom order if you're like, I want that brown. It's a warm chestnutty brown. So it's, and of course, got those undertones of the orange and everything that's in here, and the gray. So those are coming February 1st to leadingmenfiberarts.com. Let's talk about shipped trunk shows. So trunk shows that our yarn is at stores. We're not physically there, but the store is hosting us. Currently, we only have 1 trunk show out, and that is at the Modern Skein in Montgomery, Texas. They will have our trunk show until February 1st, so go ahead and, if you're local to them, check them out. Upcoming shows, we have 2 trunk shows over the next 2 weekends. This coming weekend, we will be at Starstruck Cat Yarn Studio again, which is in Greenwood, Indiana. We were there about 6 months ago, and we had a wonderful time, so they invited us back. We will be set up and selling by the afternoon of Friday, January 24th, and then we will be there all day Saturday, the 25th. I'm telling people around 4 o'clock. We're planning on getting there around noon to start setting up. So we'll either see you Friday or Saturday, hopefully, if you're in the Indianapolis area. And then the following weekend, we're going up to Monroe, Michigan, to the Lake Erie Mercantile. We have been doing wholesale with them for a while, and they asked if we would come and do a trunk show up with them. So that is on Saturday, February 1st. And so we'll be driving up on Friday to set up, and we will do the trunk show on Saturday. I hope to see you there. It's during their normal business hours. You can click through the link on our website, dramaticknits.com, which is where all of our show notes are, and that'll take you to their website, which it lists their hours. So that's what's coming up in the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be back on Sunday, which is the big bowl Sunday, which Andy was worried about being home for. So I'll be recording because it don't mean nothing to me. Though I did get to listen and witness the games yesterday. So anyway, thank you so much for sticking with me. I'm a little shorter. 50 minutes is better than an hour, but I had lots to show and talk about. If you have any questions, you can contact me as Dramatic Knits on Ravelry. I'd love it if you would join our Ravelry group, as well as follow Leading Men Fiber Arts on Instagram and Facebook and Ravelry. We did a giveaway on Instagram this past week for a gnome set, and we'll be doing another one on Facebook and another one in our Ravelry group this week. So stay tuned for that if you haven't joined. Keep your eye out there. And as always, you can sign up for our newsletter either on Facebook or our website and stay up to date with news there as well. You can always find the show on YouTube, of course, and I do post it on a separate thread on our Ravelry group, Dramatic Knits Video Podcast group. So I've heard that people have had issues with YouTube not notifying them of shows that they subscribe to. So great thing to do is to either follow the blog, which will send you an email, dramatickknits.com. You can follow there, which will send you an email when I do a new post. Or you can make sure you're keeping an eye on the group and see if there's a new post there. But the easiest thing to do, people have been doing, is go on over, enter your email address on dramatickknits.com, and it'll just say, hey, there's a new post from Dramatic Knits, and that's going to be a new episode because that's all I post there. So I hope you have a wonderful 2 weeks. I hope you stay warm because it's going to be a little cold here, at least where I'm at. So stay warm, and until I see you again in 2 weeks, I hope you knit something dramatic.